Hi everybody, it's Liz Tolentino with Keller Williams VIP Properties in Valencia.
Keith Reno with Trust Mortgage.
Yes, and we are so excited because we just did a buyer class on February 9th, and we are so thankful for everyone that attended and made that class successful. Thank you guys so much for attending.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Keith, let's talk about, we've been talking about some pretty complex topics. Let's talk about something that seems pretty basic, and it's a cornerstone of a real estate transaction, the appraisal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the appraisal, so we get into a transaction, buyer's
Yes.
offers get accepted,
Uh-huh.
and then that's about the time you're ordering the home inspection.
Right.
And then for me, I'm doing the appraisal.
Exactly.
Or I should say we order the appraisal.
Right, you're ordering the appraisal. You're
So
not doing them, you're ordering.
ordering.
Yeah, totally.
So we get quite a few questions as far as what does that really mean? Who's
Sure.
going out there?
Yeah.
You know, how is that coordinated in terms of cost?
Mhm.
So I want to give a little bit of an overview.
Totally. So to answer the question of how much is an appraisal, it depends. So it could be anywhere between $450 to $550. Now, one thing about the appraisal is that along with the home inspection is one of the fees that is actually paid upfront. So it's not part of the buyer's closing cost. The fee for the home inspection and the appraisal are paid upfront at the moment, you know, at the time that they take place.
Yeah.
And they're non-refundable in the event that, you know, the real estate transaction doesn't close. You don't get that money back.
Yeah, and those are the two fees that are non-refundable. Is there
Right.
anything else, or those are the only two?
Appraisal, any inspections, and then of course any additional, you know, reports that maybe a buyer wants to pay for. Those items are not part of the closing costs and typically would not be refundable.
Now, a question that I commonly get asked is, what if the appraisal comes in low? And then
Right.
that's when I typically defer back to yourself as far as
Sure.
we need to make sure we have that contingency in the purchase contract. So
Right.
what does that mean as far as a contingency?
So the appraisal is a contingency of the purchase agreement, which means if for whatever reason things don't line up or we're not able to negotiate it, or the buyer's not fully satisfied, the buyer could very well have that as a reason to cancel the transaction and move on. And typically, per the California Real Estate Purchase Agreement, appraisals have to be done within the first 17 days after acceptance.
Yep.
And so it's crucial that it's done in a timely manner, and also it's important that the appraisal hopefully comes in at value, or you know, at the price that we went into escrow at, or above. If it comes in below, what happens, Keith?
All right, so if it comes in low, and very rarely does that happen, especially in
it
this
doesn't
market,
happen
because
often.
typically things are appreciating. We're not seeing the market crash, so
That's
very
right.
rarely does it happen. But if it were to come up, our buyers should feel comfortable that we have that
Yes.
contingency in play.
Exactly.
Appraisal comes in low, then we have the opportunity to go back to the seller and to renegotiate or come to terms. Now, to give an example, put a number on it, let's say if we have a contract price at $500,000.
Sure.
The appraisal value comes in at $495,000, so
Right.
$5,000 low. If we go back to the seller and the seller says, no, I have an all-cash offer right behind you guys at $500,000. I'm not concerned with your appraised value. No matter what, I want my price.
Right.
Then our buyer would have to make up that $5,000 difference potentially, and then put down their minimum down payment from there.
Right.
You know, we have had some buyers that really like the home. They've been looking. This is the right home for their family.
And
Maybe
they're
that's
willing
the
to
right
do it.
situation.
Right.
You know, but before that, we always try to come to terms with the seller and renegotiate and get that price to the adjusted appraised value.
Exactly, and the appraisal contingency can be used as a negotiating tool. Sometimes the appraisal contingency can be, can be lowered from 17 days to sometimes, sooner than that.
Yep. We get them done
12 days,
quick.
I've seen 10 days.
Yeah.
And the appraisal can also, take us back to the negotiating table, especially if it doesn't come in, kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
So either the buyer can come in with money or the seller can lower the price to the appraised value. Now, what happens if the appraisal comes in above the contract price?
I would say we give you a high five for doing a really good job
We give each other a high five.
on negotiating a great price for the customer. But
Right.
if the appraised value comes in above, hey, that's a great thing. Our buyer's walking into a home with equity.
Hopefully with some equity.
But it wouldn't necessarily change the terms, which is a good thing for our customers. Shows that they're
Exactly.
getting great value in the property right from the start.
Right, so I often get asked, so Liz, if the appraisal comes in above the contract price, will I have to pay that price? No. It just means that, you hopefully have some equity, or we were able to negotiate a really good deal for you. And actually, that has happened more often than an appraisal coming in below. I mean, I can think of two different recent clients where the appraisal came in above what they actually purchased the property for.
Yeah.
So
one thing we have to keep in mind is we are ordering the appraisal. I mean, when we're doing a loan, in some ways it's to protect us as the lender, to make sure we're not overextending ourselves on a given property. It's also to protect our customer, making sure that they're not overextending themselves on a particular property, and that they're getting a fair market value. And that appraiser is a licensed professional, and they're going out and giving an independent third-party evaluation, someone that's really not a part of our transaction.
Right, we don't get to choose them.
Yep. Now, we have a pool of professionals that we get to have on our panel, but I can't select whether it's Mary or John. I just know one of our 5 top people are going to go out there, do a good job for us, give us that mutual third-party independent evaluation, and provide us back a report confirming that the property is safe and livable without any hazards or safety issues.
Exactly. And so, one thing to remember as well is an appraisal is a value opinion. And so keep that in mind, it's an opinion. So it's likely that, if 3 different appraisers went to the same property, you could potentially end up with 3 different values. Now, of course, that doesn't happen because only one appraiser goes to one of the properties or to the property. But it is something to think about, and just something to know that the fact is that real estate is constantly changing, and no one can pinpoint an end-all or be-all value on a property.
Yeah, so it's all based upon comps and comps or comparable sales. So based upon that property for that particular day, what's sold around it, and how does that value adjust to those other homes? Exactly,
and the buyer is solely responsible for really determining what price they want to pay on a home, as well as the seller is solely responsible for determining what price are they willing to accept on the sale of their property. Yeah. So we hope this has been really useful and informational regarding appraisals, and of course, if you have any additional questions, you can always call me or Keith.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Enjoy the weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Take care.